Have you ever wondered why you'd pay $10 for a coffee you could make at home for 50 cents? Or why a simple white t-shirt with a tiny logo costs $100? The answer isn't the product itself, it's psychology. And today, I'm going to pull back the curtain on one of the most powerful psychological tricks in marketing, something I call the diamond water effect. I'll show you exactly how I once sold regular tap water, completely legally, for $50 a bottle. This isn't a story about a scam. It's a masterclass in how perception creates value. By the end of this video, you'll see the world of shopping and selling in a completely new light. You'll understand why you buy the things you buy, and more importantly, you'll learn how to apply this very principle to your own life, your own business, or your own brand. Let's start with a basic truth. People don't buy products, they buy context. They buy the story, the feeling, and the status that comes with the product. Think about it. You're at a crowded, noisy bus station on a hot day. You're thirsty. You see a vendor selling bottles of water. How much would you pay? $1? Maybe $2? It's a commodity. It quenches your thirst, and that's its only job. Now, picture this. You're dining at a 5-star hotel. The lights are dim. A pianist is playing softly, and a waiter in a tuxedo approaches your table. He asks, still or sparkling? That same water, now presented in an elegant glass bottle, suddenly costs $10, and you pay it without even thinking twice. Did the water change? No, the context did. The hotel isn't selling you water. It's selling you an experience of luxury, of being cared for, of sophistication. You're not just hydrating. You're participating in a ritual of fine dining. That's the power of context. I wanted to push this theory to its absolute limit. I wanted to see if I could take the most common, most basic product imaginable, water, and, using nothing but psychology, turn it into an ultra-premium luxury item. My hypothesis was simple. If I could place this ordinary water in an extraordinary context, I could charge an extraordinary price. So my experiment began. The first step was to find the perfect stage for my performance. Where do people go when they already primed to spend a lot of money on things they don't necessarily need, but desperately want? Where is the very air thick with the scent of wealth and exclusivity? The answer was obvious. A high-end jewelry store. So I did something a little crazy. I found the most expensive, most exclusive diamond jeweler in the city, the kind of place where security guards stand by the door and every piece in the window costs more than a car. I walked in, not to buy a diamond, but to rent a tiny piece of their reality. I negotiated a deal to rent a small 2-foot by 2-foot corner of their plush, marble-floored showroom. I didn't need much space. I just needed to borrow their atmosphere. The store owner was confused at first, but the rent I offered for that tiny, unused corner was too good to refuse. The stage was now set. Next, I needed the product to look the part. I couldn't just put a plastic bottle of water there. It would break the illusion instantly. I sourced beautifully designed, heavy glass bottles, the kind you might see holding expensive perfume or rare spirits. They were sleek, minimalist, and felt substantial in your hand. The bottle itself had to communicate luxury before anyone even read the label. I then filled these bottles with simple, filtered tap water from my own kitchen. Nothing special. Just clean, safe, ordinary water. But the magic wasn't in the water. It was in the story I was about to wrap around it. This is where the real psychology came into play. I designed a label. The branding had to be perfect. It had to sound scientific, pure, and exclusive. After brainstorming dozens of names, I landed on one that was pure genius in its context. Gemstone Hydration. And beneath the name, a tagline that sealed the deal. The only water pure enough to clean your diamonds. Think about that for a second. It doesn't claim to be the best drinking water. It doesn't talk about minerals or mountain springs. It cleverly anchors its identity to the most valuable items in the entire store, the diamonds. It creates a new category of water that never existed before. A water not just for people, but for precious gems. This immediately elevates its perceived purity and value to a celestial level. The bottle, the name, the tagline, it was all one cohesive story. I set up my little display, a single illuminated pedestal in my rented corner. On it sat one pristine bottle of gemstone hydration, with a small, elegantly printed card next to it that read, $50. The price was crucial. It couldn't be $10 or $20. That's hotel water price. It had to be a price that seemed absurd, but just plausible enough in that environment to make people curious, not dismissive. It had to be a price that said, I am not for everyone. I am for those who understand true quality. The trap was now laid. All I had to do was wait for the right customers to walk into it. And they did. Wealthy clients would come into the store to have their multi-thousand-dollar engagement rings polished or to browse for a new necklace. While they waited, their eyes would wander around the showroom, and inevitably, they would notice my strange little display, a single bottle of water glowing under a spotlight. They'd walk over, intrigued. They'd pick up the heavy bottle, feel its quality. They'd read the label, Gemstone Hydration. Their eyebrows would raise. Then they'd see the tagline, the only water pure enough to clean your diamonds. You could literally see the thought process happening in their minds. They'd look at the bottle, then at the diamonds in the display cases, then back at the bottle. The connection was made. The mental conversation went something like this. Wow, this water is designed for diamonds. Diamonds are the purest, most precious things. So, this must be the purest, most elite water in the world. If it's good enough for my $20,000 diamond, it's certainly good enough for me to drink. It wasn't about thirst. It was about status. It was about aspiration. They weren't buying water. They were buying a piece of the elite identity that the jewelry store represented. The $50 price tag, which would seem insane anywhere else, now made perfect sense to them. In a room where they were comfortable spending thousands, $50 was pocket change. It was an impulse buy, but a very specific kind of impulse buy. It was a way to affirm their own status, to own something that others couldn't or wouldn't understand. They would buy a bottle, sometimes two, without blinking. They'd proudly tell the cashier, I'll take one of these as well. They felt smart, like they were in on a secret. The secret of diamond water. They bought it to feel exclusive, to have a story to tell their friends later. You won't believe what I found at the jeweler's today. The context did all the work. The marble floors, the velvet chairs, the security guard, the glittering diamonds, they all acted as silent salesmen for my $50 tap water. I had successfully sold a perception. The water was just a souvenir of that perception. This experiment perfectly illustrates the diamond water principle. The perceived value of an object is determined almost entirely by its context. You can change the price of something not by changing the thing itself, but by changing where and how you sell it. So, how can you use this? Whether you're selling a product, a service, or even just selling yourself in a job interview, context is everything. Think about your packaging. How do you present yourself? What environment do you place yourself or your product in? If you're a freelance graphic designer, is your portfolio a messy collection of files? Or is it a beautifully designed website that showcases your work like art in a gallery? If you're launching a new coffee brand, are you just putting it on a shelf? Or are you creating a story around its origin, its unique roasting process, and serving it in a space that feels special? You are the jeweler. You have the power to create the context that defines the value of what you offer. Don't just sell the product, sell the story. Don't just sell the service, sell the experience. Because as my little experiment proved, when you control the context, you control the value. People bought my tap water because in that moment, in that store, it wasn't just water. It was liquid luxury. It was diamond water. Thank you so much for watching. If this video opened your eyes to the psychology of sales and marketing, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden forces that shape our decisions. Let me know in the comments below, what's the most you've ever paid for something simple, just because of the context? I'd love to hear your stories. See you in the next video.